The steam burned before the soup did. It was scalding, the kind of burn that makes your body freeze instead of jerk away. And in that split second of silence, while the red liquid soaked into my lap, my thighs, and the fresh blouse I'd bought on clearance, I still had hope someone at the table would react. Someone would say, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Someone would gasp or grab a napkin or flinch. But no one moved. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Not my sister, who kept scrolling on her phone with a spoon lazily hovering near her mouth. Not my dad, who was more focused on cutting his steak into perfect, even slices. And definitely not my mother, who was still holding the ceramic bowl she'd just accidentally tipped onto me. Her face was blank for a moment, then she shrugged. Accidents happen. I tried to stand, but the chair leg caught on the rug, and the pain from the burn made my knees wobble. She reached for her wine glass without looking at me, especially to worthless girls who talk back. There it was, the line that turned my burn from an accident to a message. And still, no one looked up. Not even my brother, who was visiting from college and had only returned home the night before. He didn't even pause chewing, just mumbled, "Pass the bread," like I hadn't just been doused in boiling broth. I excused myself from the table, voice shaking. "I'll clean this up." Mom waved her hand. "Yeah, do that." In the bathroom, I peeled the blouse from my skin. Red blotches were already forming. I ran cold water over my thighs and hissed. But the pain wasn't what made me cry. It was the silence. I'd always known I wasn't the favorite, but I hadn't realized I'd become this invisible. Not just dismissed, but unseen. Like a chair, a fixture. As I scrubbed the soup out of the fabric, I flashed back to every other accident Mom had had. The time she tripped while holding a tray of juice and let it splash across my textbooks. The time she forgot I had allergy meds and left me wheezing at my sister's recital. The time she mistakenly mailed in my college rejection letter as a joke and then told everyone I was overreacting. But this felt different. There was heat in this one, literal and emotional. And the worst part? I still wasn't sure what I'd done to deserve it. I sat on the edge of the bathtub for almost an hour. No one came to check on me. No one knocked. When I finally opened the door, the table was cleared. The lights in the hallway were off. The house felt colder somehow. I passed my mom's bedroom, heard her laugh at something on TV. That laugh that always felt sharp when it wasn't aimed at you. I crept to my room and closed the door without a sound. But I didn't sleep. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, fingers pressed to the red welts on my thighs, and started thinking in dangerous ways. Not about revenge, not yet, but about truth, about what happens when you finally let go of the lie that your family will ever be different. The next morning, I limped to the kitchen. Everyone was gone. A note on the fridge said, "Out shopping for Lexi's graduation dress. Microwave something if you're hungry." Lexi, my younger sister, the one who never cooked, never worked, never had to, the one who failed half her classes but got a brand new iPhone when she cried. Me? I got soup burns and silence. I looked at the fridge, and for the first time in my life, I pulled the note down and tore it in half. I needed air. I grabbed my coat and walked. I didn't even know where I was going until I ended up at the library downtown. It was quiet, warm. No one looked at me like I was a burden. There, I did something I'd been too scared to do for years. I applied for a dorm scholarship out of state. Not a fancy college, just a quiet community school with a baking program. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't ask permission, because suddenly, I didn't care what they thought anymore. If I was worthless to them, maybe it was time I stopped trying to prove otherwise. What none of them knew, what even I didn't know that day, was that something had already started shifting, something they wouldn't see until it was far too late. The acceptance email came 2 weeks later. I was sitting alone on the back porch, knees curled under me, sipping lukewarm instant coffee and staring at the dirt patch in our yard. My mom kept saying she'd turn into a garden someday. The moment my phone buzzed, I already knew. I felt it, like the universe had finally taken one quiet breath in my direction. "Congratulations," it read. "You've been awarded the regional housing grant. We look forward to welcoming you this fall." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I closed the tab, set my phone down on the porch railing, and stared straight ahead for a long time. Then I smiled, just once, and it felt like something peeled off my skin. Like I was finally shedding the version of me they had always known. The quiet, obedient ghost. That night, dinner was loud again. My mom was showing off photos of my sister in 4 different dresses, asking which one made her look more scholarship-worthy, even though she hadn't even applied. My dad grunted his approval every so often. My brother scrolled on his phone. I sat in silence. Then Mom said it, out of nowhere, as if the soup hadn't happened, as if I hadn't existed at all that night. "Oh, and can you clean the baseboards this weekend? Lexi's having friends over, and I don't want them seeing dust." I looked her right in the eyes and said, "No." The whole table went still. Even my brother glanced up. "What did you say?" she asked. "I said no," I repeated, calm. "I won't be cleaning anything this weekend." My sister snorted. "Oh, please, you act like you have plans." "I do." My dad spoke, then like he was already annoyed by my existence. "And what might those be?" "I'll be leaving." That got their attention. "Leaving?" my mom echoed. "To where?" "I got into a program, out of state. I move in September." They blinked at me, stunned, like the furniture had suddenly grown legs and announced it was walking out of the house. "You applied to a school without asking us?" my father said, voice hardening. "You don't pay for my life. I've worked. I've saved. I applied. I got in, and I'm going." There was a moment where I saw it in her eyes, the panic. Not because she cared about me, but because she realized she might be losing her unpaid housemaid. My mom's face darkened. "So what, you think you're too good for us now?" "No," I said. "I just finally realized you're not good for me." She stood up so fast her chair scraped back. "After everything we've done for you?" "Name one thing," I said, voice shaking now, but louder than I'd ever dared. "One thing you did for me without guilt-tripping me, mocking me, or hurting me." Silence. "I begged for kindness," I said. "You gave me bruises and hot soup. You gave Lexi the world. I got chores and mockery. And the only time you ever looked at me was when you wanted something from me." Lexi finally broke the silence. "You're so dramatic." I turned to her. "Do you even know what Mom did that night at dinner? Did you even see?" She looked away. Didn't answer. "I'm not coming back," I said, rising. "Not for holidays, not for birthdays, and definitely not to clean your baseboards." My dad laughed, but it was cold. "You won't last a month on your own." I smiled, slow. "Good, then you'll never have to see me again." I walked away from that table knowing I wasn't just stepping away from a meal, I was stepping out of a lifelong performance. And for the first time, the audience wasn't clapping. They were stunned. I spent the summer working extra shifts at a bakery 2 towns over. Elise, the manager, let me crash on her couch when I told her my story. She didn't pity me. She just said, "Some fires start with soup." I moved into my dorm with 2 boxes, a duffel bag, and more freedom than I'd ever tasted. The air smelled cleaner in that town. The sky looked wider. I slept like I hadn't slept in years. But just when I thought I'd finally left it all behind, something showed up in the mail. A letter. No return address. No handwriting I recognized. Inside was a folded piece of notebook paper. All it said was, "Mom's in the hospital. Lexi told her you didn't care." I crumpled the letter and tossed it in the trash. Because maybe she was right. I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't call. I didn't ask what happened. I didn't even take the note out of the trash. Because I knew the truth. If Mom had truly been on her deathbed, they wouldn't have mailed me a scribbled piece of paper with no name. They would have called, screamed, begged. This was manipulation, dressed up like an emergency. And I was done falling for that costume. Weeks passed, then months. I started thriving. My burns healed. So did the ache in my chest that I once thought would never leave. The quiet of my new life was so peaceful, it scared me at first. No footsteps in the hall yelling my name for chores. No soup boiling on the stove like a threat. No jokes about how pathetic girls like me end up alone. I was alone now, and I'd never felt more whole. Until one day, near the holidays, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring out. They left a voicemail. It was Lexi. Her voice, once so smug and untouchable, now trembled. "I know you don't owe us anything. But Dad left. He just packed a bag and vanished. Mom's sick for real this time. I don't know what to do. She keeps saying your name, keeps asking why you haven't come. Please, if you have it in you, just visit once. You win. You're the good one." I stared at the wall, phone still clutched in my hand. "You win," she'd said, as if this was ever a game. I didn't respond, but I didn't block her either. Not yet. Instead, I sat down that night and did something I'd never done before. I wrote a letter, not to send, just to bleed, a purge. "Dear Mom, I remember the night you spilled the soup, not for the burn, not for the pain, but because no one flinched. You always said accidents happen. But your accidents were always sharp, targeted, public. You burned me, then looked me in the eye and called it fate. You raised me on humiliation and control, and still expected me to serve you tea while you praised my sister's every breath. So here's what I owe you now. Nothing. No forgiveness. No visit. No explanation. This isn't revenge. This is peace. My peace. If you ever want to know what that looks like, sit with your silence. Love never lived in your house, and now neither do I." I sealed the letter in an envelope and placed it under my mattress like a keepsake from a war I survived. That Christmas, I got another message. A photo. Lexi again. It was a picture of Mom in a hospital bed, gaunt, her hair thinner, her hand limp in hers. Underneath it, she wrote, "She keeps asking where you are. She keeps saying she was wrong." But it was too late, because the thing no one told me about toxic people is this. Sometimes they don't change. Sometimes they rot. And if you stay close, they take you with them. The next message came weeks later. She's gone. No funeral invitation, no last request, just a simple text, as cold as the house I'd grown up in. I didn't cry. Instead, I went to my part-time job, served cupcakes to smiling strangers, and laughed with Elise while we closed the shop that evening. But when I got home, I did one thing. I made a pot of soup, not to eat, but to pour it down the drain, and as the last drop slipped away, I whispered to myself, "Accidents don't happen to worthless girls, they happen to mothers who raise them to believe it." Then I turned off the stove, sat on my clean floors, and watched the silence settle around me like a new beginning. And for the first time in my life, no one looked away, because finally, I had chosen to see myself. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.